welcome to another in-depth video from Fealty. After talking about gameplay elements like politics, warfare or economy in the last videos, this one will be a little different, as the topic is magic. Let me take a step back and talk about game design, and sorry if you were expecting spell lists and artifacts, you will be disappointed. But stay tuned. When adding something to a game, it needs to serve a purpose. So unless it does add something to the game, why should you want magic in it? The parts I have talked about in the past all serve obvious purposes. Warfare is a means to resolve conflict, while politics is a means to both resolve and create conflict. Economy provides the long-term strategy that fuels war, and so on. There are, however, historically accurate elements that would be detrimental to gameplay. In the world simulated by Might and Fealty, for example, letters between nobles would travel for several days. While realistic, this would not be much fun, slow everything down to a crawl, and most importantly, would predictably lead to people using the in-game message system only to exchange email addresses and other contact information. So this is what Magic in Might and Fealty is all about. It allows me to give an in-game explanation to those parts of the game where I intentionally deviate from what realism would require. Communication inside the game needs to be instant, or players will simply move it outside of the game. So a magic effect can make it so. Player characters are ageless because of the speed of the game. 1 real-world year equals about 4 in-game years. Age simply doesn't add enough gameplay to justify adding it, so they are of a magical, ageless race. Might and Fealty is not, however, a game about magic. There will be no wizards to hire and no spells to learn. Why? Because magic is really hard to do right in a game, and I'd rather leave it out than make another game with half-assed magic. You see, in most games, magic really adds nothing at all, and it also isn't very magical. Most of the times, the design process seems to have been something like, we don't have cannons in our game, so let's add fireballs instead. I find it more interesting and more rewarding to make additional gameplay out of the restrictions of the setting. Might and Fealty allows you to instantly communicate with every other character, provided you have met at least once and exchanged a message then. That means you have a restriction still in place that gives you incentives to travel and meet people, and also go say hi to people you meet during your travels, because who knows when it might be handy to be able to contact the other guy in the future. The interplay between a restriction and a possibility is what creates this gameplay. So, to sum up, in Might and Fealty, magic is part of the setting and the background, and allows for an in-game explanation of game design decisions that are necessary or provide for a better game. Magic will not be available to player characters in any shape or form. You won't need to learn any arcane rules or made-up systems to play or understand the game. And while we are on the topic of game design and mechanics, in the next video I will be talking about the action system that is such an important part of how Might and Fealty is actually played.